Ram trucks built to serve.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf alongside Nick Wright, Kevin Wilds, Chris Broussard's got his game face on with us on this Wednesday morning. Before we get to some basketball, here's what we got on the lineup. Is the MVP Lamar's to lose this season? A really interesting take on why the Eagles will win the division and why Tom and Giselle are absolutely, positively adorable. Nick wanted to make sure we got that story in the show, and we did, buddy, so you're all set. But we're going to start in the NBA this morning. So yesterday, guys, remember we talked about a new NBA playoff format. Teams seeded 1 through 16 with no conferences. So Nick spent yesterday putting pen to paper, picking out the outcome of every 7-game series until he crowned a championship. But Kevin Wilds, you've been working with our guy Nick long enough to predict his predictions to stay one step ahead of him, albeit a small step. How do you think, looking at this board, Nick has this foursome playing out? Let's start on the top left. How do you think he'll go here?
All right, the prognosticator of prognosticators, Nick Wright. I think Orlando is basically playing a home game here. Everything is in Orlando. I think you give Orlando one game. So you've got Bucks in 5, and then Chris Paul sneaks past the Heat in maybe 5. He ends up going to the Knicks after that. And then I think it's another Bucks in 5. That would be my prediction. About your prediction, Nick.
All right, so you were very close. I have Milwaukee sweeping the Magic. I don't think the home games are going to matter for the Magic. They are totally overmatched, and we can show what we've got here. I've got Milwaukee sweeping the Magic. I have OKC beating the Miami Heat in 6, actually. So you're right on those predictions that I have, and we can reveal it. There it is. And Milwaukee then winning in 5. I think it's going to be very tough for anyone to give any real resistance to Milwaukee, particularly early in the playoffs, no matter the format. No one's going to, Broussard, take any issue with Milwaukee advancing past Orlando and whomever they play in the second round. I do think Heat Thunder could be one of the most intriguing first-round series. Broussard, do you have any issues, any qualms, any critiques with if we do get the 1 through 16 format, this quadrant going like that?
Obviously, Milwaukee gets past Orlando in quick fashion, but I thought about going with the Thunder. I thought hard about it. They've played some of the best basketball in the league over the last 3 months. They've been 29-10. However, the Heat are tough. They shoot the three well. You talk about home games. I mean, they're in their home state, so it's somewhat, of a home game for them, I guess. I understand it may not matter, but I've got the Heat winning over Oklahoma City in a tough 7-game series. And that makes it tough for Milwaukee because we know Miami is 2-0 against the Bucks. Bam Adebayo, likes going against Giannis. Jimmy Butler is gritty and hard-nosed. And both teams shoot the three well, but I will give the Bucks the edge. I think they'll get past Miami in a tough 6 games.
So here's my response to the Miami OKC, your point, because it's well taken, is this. Where Oklahoma City has been exceptional this year, Broussard, is close late. They have been the best fourth quarter and clutch team in the league. They're more of a veteran team than Miami is, so I think they might be a little more prepared to deal with this layoff. And we know playoff games, particularly between two closely matched teams, they're always going to come down to the last 4 or 5 minutes. I just trust Broussard, Chris Paul in those situations more than anybody Miami has.
Yeah, I like Butler late. We saw it last year with Philadelphia, and he's hungry. And look, he's finally in a situation where he has his own team, and the guys are accepting it, at least for right now. Chris Paul obviously he's had mixed, responses in the clutch. Sometimes he's been great, sometimes he's struggled. I also think with Chris at his age and his history, injuries could be, a hammy here or there. I'm not so sure he won't be felled by an injury when we start playing.
Jeez.
All right, Jenna, if we move on to the next quadrant, but before you set it up, it just should be noted, the next one, and I'll let you take it, Jenna, we would get these matchups either way. Whether the regular format or the other format, it would be these 4 teams playing each other. But go ahead, Jenna.
All right, no, Wilds, let's do it. Next quadrant, bottom left. How do you think Nick filled out this portion?
So I think the Clips roll, Nick. I know you don't like Kawhi too much, and you're saying, no, it's not that I don't like him. You don't like him. But I think Clips roll the Mavs. And look, I grew up in New England, but I think the Sixers win this, and I think you've got the Sixers winning this. They're 3-1 against Boston. They're 29-2 at home. They're terrible on the road. So I think the big question is, does Orlando play like the home court, or does it play like an away court? If I'm the Sixers, I'm flying down Meek Mill and Tasty Cakes and Yingling to make that thing feel as Philly as possible. And then I think it would be super interesting if the Sixers could get past the Clippers. I don't know. I think you probably have the Clippers, but I personally love the Sixers here, Nick.
All right, you almost went 0 for 3 there, Wilds. I think Clippers-Mavs is a brutal 7-game series. You got the #1 offense in basketball. I think the Mavs can give them all they can handle. I like the Celtics over the Sixers. And Broussard, this is the one I'm sure we'll go to war on. The Celtics know who they are. They know what their rotation is. They know exactly what they're trying to do. The Clippers, meanwhile, we don't know their rotation. They don't know their rotation. Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, how are we fitting you in? I think the Clippers are going to be in for all they can handle in round 1 against the #1 offense in basketball. And I think the Celtics under this format would beat them in round 2.
I will give you that Dallas is a tough first-round matchup for anybody. Obviously, you got Luka, but it's his first playoffs, and he's young, so Clippers will get past them. This is a tough one in Boston and Philly, but I think coaching is a big factor here too, and I give Brad Stevens the big edge there. So you're right, it'll be Clippers, Celtics. I know this was tough for you, Nick, because you're not really a fan of either team. You like to underestimate both teams, but you are so off on the Clippers. I'm going to save some of that because they're going to be alive a lot longer than you think. So I got the Clippers beating Boston in this one, although that's a heck of a second-round matchup.
It's so interesting. You've been saying all year long, before the year, during the year, how off I've been on the Clippers, despite the fact that the 65 games that have been played have showed I was the only one in America right about the Clippers. A week before the damn shutdown, they were the 4th seed in the West. So we'll see. No matter what the playoff format is, we'll get to see if the Clippers are the team that you have espoused them to be the favorites in the West and all of this, or if my preseason pessimism about them was correct. But, Jenna, I'll let you keep us moving on this.
I'm with you, Nick. I like the Celtics. All right, let's move on to the other side. Top right now, Knicks Lakers, Knicks Rockets. Wilds, what do you think Nick has in this quadrant?
I mean, this is the 215 here, Nick, is just up for grabs. I know you probably got the Lakers in maybe 6, but if KD comes back, and I know there's no positive reports about KD, at the same time, he had surgery on June 12th, I think. If we're into late July, we're going to be at 400 days of recovery. Historically, we're at like 250. Boogie came back at like 350. Chauncey came back at like 360. So it's a lot of time for KD. I know everybody's different, but I'm not willing to write him off entirely. The Jazz, we don't know if they like each other. They're going to have to go to counseling before they even step on the court. Rockets take it there, and then I guess you've got Lakers in 5 over the Rockets, Nick.
You got one thing right. I got Lakers in 5. The Lakers are going to sweep the Nets. Okay. So I got Lakers in 4, Lakers in 5. And the Rockets, and I got the Rockets in 6 over the Jazz. Broussard, I think the Jazz, their entire chances of competing in this postseason went out the window when Bogdanovich got that surgery. Like, he's too key to what they try to do to be able to beat a quality first-round opponent in Houston. And I do think Houston can give the Lakers a bit of trouble. I was at the game in Houston where P.J. Tucker, for at least a half, did well against LeBron. The Rockets then later beat the Lakers in a game where Harden only went 3 for 10. But that's how I see that quadrant playing out.
Look, Brooklyn, I've said in the past, Kevin Durant shouldn't even think about coming back. But Wilds is right. It will have been so long that since he had the injury, he should be ready. I wouldn't rush it. But if he's ready under this situation, if I'm Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving is healthy, I'm looking at this like, this might be a chance to sneak a championship. This short playoff format and all that. So I think he's doing that. But I still go with the Lakers either way. And then you got the Rockets. I do pick them over Jazz. You mentioned Bogdanovich. Obviously, you got the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert situation too. I think over time that time will heal those wounds and they'll be fine. But this year it's going to be a problem. So I got Lakers, Rockets. You're right, Nick. Small ball with the Rockets. Can it give the Lakers some problems? Yeah, maybe they get a game or two, but the Lakers advance.
All right, and real quick on Durant, it would be so unfair to ask him to come back in the cauldron of the playoffs. But Jenna, go ahead.
All right, last bracket, guys. Bottom right, Raptors, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Pacers. You see it right there. Mr. Wilds, take us through what you think Nick has.
Nick, I got to be honest with you. This is the bracket I'm least excited about. I wish there was a little more firepower in this bracket. I know I'm supposed to love the Raptors. I just don't. I think Raptors roll the Grizzlies. I think that's like in 4. I think Nuggets roll the Pacers in maybe 5. I don't think since there's no Denver home court, I think it's Raptors in 5. That's what I think your predictions are.
You got the teams right. You got the games close. Raptors in 5, Nuggets in 5. Then I do think Raptors Nuggets would play a good series. I trust the championship medal of Toronto. Broussard, you love this new format. This new format, a quarter of it involves this, which I don't think has any sex appeal to anyone outside of those 4 markets. But that's how I see this one playing out. I assume you agree with most of that.
Yeah, I love the other 3 brackets. This one is pretty mundane, but I agree with you. Toronto, Denver, and then that'll be a really good series, but Toronto will edge them. So I'm with you all the way on this one.
All right, let's move on to the Final Four, guys. You have Bucks,